The question being is, how much money do I need to spend on marketing?
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, there we go.
How much money do you need to spend on marketing? So that ties back into how do I find new customers, right?
Exactly. That's why I thought it was a good question.
How do you? That's a loaded question because
So
marketing dollars are haphazardly misused,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and with
yeah, yeah.
information, with all of these different softwares, with the um, there's some sort of brainwashing too that's going on because when I say brainwashing, I'm talking about the way that the speed of the internet. If you do have to catch your prospective customer within the first 3 to 4 seconds in most cases. And because the internet has an algorithm, all these different platforms have algorithms that we do not control. So we have to be very effective with images, contents, keywords, SEO words, hashtags. You know, there is this thing that says we have to repeat and rapid fire consistently, which equals out X amount of marketing dollars. Now, that's not to say that the more you spend, the more you're going to get. But there's a formula for that. There's a rule for that, and that formula and rule most times equates out to time. There's the
Mhm.
big companies. There's some companies, whether they're big or small, they're doing well. When I say big, I mean corporation wise, but you have small businesses that have been around for quite some time and they're doing well, right? And if they've been open for if they've been open for over 10 years and their trend comes from a lot from marketing, that means that they've been marketing probably 10 years plus, right? Um, and so, the long and the short of it is it depends on what you're trying to achieve, your revenue, your forecasted revenue, who your customers are, where your customers are hanging out, how do you attract those customers, right? What are the services that you're providing? Are they needed services or products, or are they wants?
Mm, interesting. Cool. Now, mm, I like that. I like the answer. I mean, you real like collegiate with yours. You like a real professor, dude, man. Like,
I
it's
just,
impressive.
it's just a lot of just a lot of it's a lot of
So,
hard work and
uh,
reading that goes into this brain here, man.
yeah, and I know. So, I mean, same here. So, but it's beautiful the communication styles because now I'm going to answer it real quick. so, so, I
This
mean,
why I
so
got
here's
this
the thing.
shirt on today. This why I got this shirt on today.
What
Perspective.
perspective?
I put this on
You got
specifically.
perspective on today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. How much perspective, subjective perspective? All right, how much should you spend on marketing? Well, once again, whenever we get to spending, I perk up because it's the trade I'm in. Without the plan that we discussed in the first answer, you can't answer that question because what you touched on this in your answer. What gets overlooked is that there's no marketing program, and we're talking small business, but even large businesses. There's no marketing program that we're going to start on Saturday, December 2nd, and it's going to realize its potential on Sunday, December 3rd. So there's no marketing program like that. Not going to happen. So you have to take something that you're going to be, you know, you know, if you're sophisticated enough, like we have a listener out here that says it, you know, they keep aside 10% of revenue for marketing. Outstanding. Which means that they're in tune to their numbers
And they know
because
who their customers are.
yeah, and they know how much revenue. I mean, you know, if you're not keeping up with your book, and this is another one, we never really talked about this. When we keep talking about the importance of having your ledgers and your financial stuff together, here's another reason. So that you can manage your, this is an example of how you so you can manage your business. You know, they keep 10% of revenue, which is revenue for marketing. And it's usually based on the type of business you're in. Because for instance, the accounting industry spends like nothing. You know, we do these metrics, we do these surveys and stuff. People spend like 0.5% of their revenue on marketing. It's wild, you know. Hayward CPA spends way more than that, but that's because I come from marketing. So, you know, and maybe I think it's working, you know. But it's an art, not a science. You have to really think about, like, if you're trying to, like, we go, you know, like we mentioned, hey, if your target is, you know, a 5-block radius, a 2-mile radius from your neighborhood, your marketing spend probably is not bad. You get like a local newspaper, a local newsletter or something. You use the internet stuff that's free. You don't have to do that. But if you have a larger area, you know, a state, for example, your whole state, or there's your demographic, you're competitive for it. You know, there's a lot of people trying to attract those folks. You have to spend more or spend wiser or do it. So the flat answer to this, I think we hit the same answer. I mean, it depends, but I will get in there and say, look, you have to plan yourself to get there. You can't. I don't think you're not going to be effective sitting down and saying, I'm going to spend X dollars amount on marketing in a vacuum. Like, I'm just going to spend that. I'm going to spend $100 on marketing, but I'm going to do $200,000 in revenue in my first year. But I'm going to spend $100. You know.
Yeah. So,
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just here. But to Jadeep's point, you know, tying it to your revenue is actually makes sense because the marketing is supposed to drive the revenue. So you having some sort of tie, so it would be incumbent to come up with some number % of revenue, and you can research and look and see what companies such as yours on average spend. Once again, it goes back to doing some research and educating yourself on what happens in the marketplace.
mm-hmm.
And you can adjust your number up and down. So that's the answer to that. And thank you for the participation from the listenership. But we might have something going on here, man.
That's what I like. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. So let me give a little before we move on to the next one really quickly. There's a thing called KPIs, and you know, to James' point and J Deep's point, before you can get to a percentage of revenue for marketing, you got to understand the KPIs that go into that 10%. And there's various KPIs for different industries, different business types, but there's a couple that's important. The number one thing that's important is how much does it cost your organization to acquisition a new client or customer? What is the cost that you need to put out? If you're building a widget, the widget is 10 cents. How much of that 10 cents, excuse me, if you're selling it to your widget for 10 cents, how much did it cost you to make that widget? And how much did it cost you to spend on getting that customer to acknowledge that widget, you have the widget they need? So, and I'll leave it right there.